Hi lads, so this video, as you can see, is very different from my usual videos, so just let me know what you think in the comments and if you'd like me to continue this series. But today I'm going to be breaking down the album Psychodrama by Dave. This analysis begins with a rundown of Dave's rise from a troubled teenage prodigy to the UK rap's emotional young voice. So let's get into Dave's first song on his debut album Psychodrama, Psycho, where we first meet our careful, humble, reckless, arrogant, extravagant Dave. Dave began his musical journey on the piano, encouraged by his mother to keep him from early hardships and some of the pitfalls of inner city London. Dave practiced for several hours a day until eventually playing became as easy as speaking, something in which Dave is equally gifted.
Gave my brother 18 for a fucking murder, a knife crime, the lifetime, the whole sentence he's serving. Now in my chest my brother knows it's burning. Them visits had me crying, had me whelping, had me taking pills to help it. Looking thinking, who am I? Trust you never knew this guy. Grandma died, had my mother stricken talking suicide. Trust me, I don't say that shit. Why I never rate these kids? My mum was on a madness. You ain't never seen no pain like this. I know you niggas feel this. Brother putting on a brave face for the visit, but I know my brother feels it, and my brother don't reveal it. Nah, my brother don't reveal it. Taking life from my mother.
Young Dave made a lot of people stand up and take notice, visiting his brother in prison, the death of a grandma, and a mother contemplating taking her life. Dave even taking medication to deal with the anguish. The Black Box freestyle from 2015 was essentially Dave introducing himself to the world and telling us about his life, a verbal piece of art reaching over 9 million views on YouTube.
Cause I'm Prada boy now, I'm money boy now, I'm piano boy now, I'm Mr. Duck a man down, Mr. Fucking stop asking how I get my peas in, asking for a bringing, none of you brought me in. Brother, fuck a fake friend, why you fucking riding for? I got a couple people that I'd die for. Ride out, lights out, my brother's pulling strings from up and high down to get you sky before the sky down. Look at this guy now.
After Black Box, Dave built up more hype around his name until when age 17 he got a co-sign from Drake, who remixed his song Wanna Know.
Yeah, I got UK things on a WhatsApp now, like +44 on a code. Yeah, like whoa, 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 like whoa.
A month ago you didn't wanna know, but now I'm seeing though. These catties, they be calling off my phone, all these man, and they applaud me on the road. Up a corner for my bro, man, they keep 'em talking on the low, man, they keep 'em talking on the low.
For Drake to sing I got UK things on the WhatsApp now is a not so subtle passing of the torch. This was the first time some people had heard Dave, but so much led up to this moment.
It's like the power of anticipation as well, isn't it? Because I didn't even realise that it'd been quite a while since he's put anything out, and then I see people tweeting him, like artists and that, over the few months, like bare people are just here waiting. I saw Crep.
This is an extract from DJ Chucky's Half-Cast podcast entitled Is Santan Dave in His Own Lane? This episode shows us how deep the hype for this first album from the Piano Boy was, and after his first public freestyle 4 years earlier, the pressure was on. Psychodrama released in March 2019 and was by consensus one of the albums of the year. It's rare to see an album celebrated by the industry and fans equally, garnering awards like the Brit.
And the winner is Dave Psychodrama! Wow, the album of the year goes to the brilliant.
And a Hyundai Mercury Prize.
The winner of the 2019 Hyundai Mercury Prize is Dave.
But anyway, what is a psychodrama? 1. A form of psychotherapy in which patients act out events from their past. 2. A play, film or novel in which psychological elements are of the main interest.
So the concept of the album is, a psychodrama is a form of therapy, and it is just expressing how you feel in whatever way is the most creative to you. Some people act it out, some people sing it out, people find their own different ways, and I think for me, it was just about making a track which in every walk of life just shed some light on me, the person that I am, the scope of the world around me, and I think that the album, it done that for me, and the place that I was in just got presented to the world.
As Dave states in this interview, Psychodrama is an album that holds together from beginning to end as a concept album, meaning all of its tracks speak to one another, adding up to create the bigger picture. Across the following episodes, we'll look at the bigger picture, using Dave's music to jump into some topics such as criminal justice, racism, domestic abuse, and the stigma of mental health. But now that I'm done setting the scene, here's Psycho.
Tuesday, 23rd of January, 2018. I'm here with David. This is our first session. We're just going to talk about your background, where you're from, any issues you've been dealing with. So, where should we start?
The album begins with us listening to a therapy session with Dave. This already gives us a feeling of an autobiography. We're just going to talk about your background, where you're from, any issues you've been dealing with. Hearing this official voice acts as a wall. We're at a distance from Dave, observing him from a front row seat.
Look, stop all the pain. How do you stop all the pain, huh? I used to hear a voice when I was praying, but nowadays I don't even want to be saved. Nah, fuck that, I don't want to be saved. I was born to be wild, I don't want to be tamed.
Stop all the pain. How do you stop all the pain, huh? The pain is and has been an ongoing challenge. Even God has deserted him. I used to hear a voice when I was praying, but nowadays I don't even want to be saved. At first he was asking the therapist for help, but then he turns away saying how he doesn't want it. Nah, fuck that, I don't want to be saved. Here's another clip from the Half Girls podcast, but this time after the album had dropped.
We have to discuss this Dave album.
Oh my god, it's sick.
When I heard Dave start off saying, stop all the pain, how do you stop all the pain? I just thought, if I was listening to it in my car, I'd have stopped it. Because straight away, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, he's like, this album is a conceptual album.
Yeah, this
like,
is something.
He's going to tell, like, he's telling me something now, and I'm going to learn. Now, I immediately knew I'm about to learn something from someone that I've been following almost from the beginning of his career. He's going to tell me something that I wasn't necessarily too aware of.
Yeah.
Do you get me? Bro, like the first song on the album, yeah. I remember listening to the first song on the album and I turned to my brethren and I was like, yo, is like, does he feel like this?
And that's exactly what we're going to be exploring in this episode. What is Dave really feeling? Is it real, or is it just part of the story?
I was born to be wild, I don't want to be tamed. Talents in my blood and I don't want to be vain. But if I'm a psycho, then I don't want to be...
The use of the word psycho in the lyrics and title may not be referring to being mentally unstable. However, I believe Dave is using it to communicate his feelings of being different, or dealing with a lot of trauma. So why doesn't Dave want to be sane? Or at least feel like everyone else? Maybe he doesn't trust the systems and medicines put in place to help people like him. Maybe it's the imbalance of power Dave feels. A young black man is being treated by a seemingly older white man. In other words, the therapist is a symbol of white power brokers in society. Either way, it seems Dave is afraid of losing his spirit, wanting to preserve the unruly parts of himself, fearing losing connection to how he feels. Talent's in my blood, and I don't want to be vain, but if I'm a psycho, then I don't want to be sane.
Easy as the alphabet. 3 G's in a ring, call me Alvarez. My teacher used to say I need counselling. Couldn't stop asking me, what do you feel? There's so many old scars that they want to reveal. We got off on the wrong foot cause I don't want them to heal.
There's that question again. What do you feel? Dave went to a public school in Mitcham, and in these lines he's taking us back there, comparing his old teachers with the therapist we hear now. My teacher used to say I need counselling. Couldn't stop asking, what do you feel? So many old scars that they want to reveal. We got off on the wrong foot because I don't want them to heal. Dave is positioning himself in opposition to authority, and we know as a running theme in his life, as in past interviews he has talked about problems that he has with authority.
Tears on a pillow, bro, I shed so many tears on a pillow. I used to tell my teachers that nobody gets it. I don't know Clark, but I know that I'm a kiddo.
Old scars, tears on a pillow. It's clear that a young Dave experienced way more of life than someone that young should have. I used to tell my teachers that nobody gets it. I don't know Clark, but I know that I'm a kiddo. Dave grew up too fast, hence Kidult, a reference to a 2006 film, Kidulthood, which is about a group of teenagers who are finding their way from childhood to adulthood in a city such as London. Dave also references the writer saying I don't know Clark, sounding similar to Noel Clark.
Cause my mummy ain't been home, miss thinks I'm involved, blame my environment, it made me a sicko.
Dave is referring back to a teacher saying Miss. He's telling us that Miss thinks he's involved with a gang because of her negative assumptions about him and his life.
Furthermore, I should bring that bitch down to Streatham and then make her spend a day in the Vale like a widow.
Because Dave's teacher either can't or won't understand him, Dave threatens to bring her to the district he grew up, Streatham, and make her spend the day in a Vale like a widow. At face value, this seems like a decent bar, however taking a second look, its logic is hard to follow. Why is the teacher wearing a veil? Is she mourning someone? Is this connected to her being in Streatham? This is where Dave's lyrical ability comes into play, as a part of Streatham where Dave grew up is called Vale, V-A-L-E, which sounds identical to V-E-I-L, which is what a widow would wear to mourn. With this double entendre Dave uses, we see the first instance of bringing the idea of death and Streatham, something which will be explored more in future bars.
Kiddo, we seen swords longer than a limo. My bros are blacksmiths like Jaden and Willow. Man, there's weapons over here, we're repping over here. I'm from the south side, but it's Streatham over here.
Those in the delusion that London is a lovely tourist destination where everyone goes around drinking tea and eating crumpets will be thoroughly shocked by the reality of the world in which Dave grew up. We've seen swords longer than a limo, my bros are blacksmiths like Jaden and Willow. Although these bars may appear humorous, using wit to get their point across, the pun about blacksmiths meaning both metal workers and blacksmiths such as Jaden and Willow, the children of actors Jada and Will. Man, there's weapons over here, we're reppin' over here, we're from the south side, but it's Streatham over here. Weapons, reppin', Streatham, all chime with each other, reinforcing their associations, sounding effortless, indicating the strong connotations between Streatham and weapons, furthering the idea of death we explored a minute ago.
Cool. Look. Walking down my road and I don't even know my ends now. Everybody's shanked up, everybody's got a skeng now.
This simply translates to, I don't recognise Streatham anymore because everyone's carrying knives or guns. These words begin the Black Box freestyle we listened to earlier, when he was only 16, and here in Psycho he lets us know of the same problem and how it impacted him psychologically.
We wanted more than some food on a strip or moving a brick, but niggas went to school with the rich and we were broke, hiding crow in a Rubicon drink, which is funny cause that's how we put food in the fridge.
Went to school with the rich and we were broke, hiding crow in a Rubicon drink. Meaning back when Dave grew up, kids could only survive by concealing marijuana, crow, in a Rubicon drink bottle. The next section in Psycho marks a beat change, as well as a change in pace and tone of Dave's flow. The lines shorter and punchier, skipping over the beat as if it were Cristiano Ronaldo skipping through the penalty box.
Food in the fridge, who am I? Someone trying to live his best life. I just want to take a pretty woman for a test drive.
With the switch up, we get a look at the rest of Dave's personality, more playboy and party rapper. Although he came into the song with some deep personal lyrics, Dave threw a curveball at us, changing up the beat to prevent it from going stale.
At this age, how are them man still hating? My young boy in a different country, but he ain't never been on vacation. One hand on a girl I'm dating, one hand on the cash I'm making. We come through like Funky Friday and have all of your man them skating.
Dave does this again in his 2018 hit Funky Friday, where Dave flaunts his wealth and the women he can pull, saying one hand on the girl I'm dating and one hand on the cash I'm making. Dave deserves this and he's showing off that he made it in life despite coming out of ends. However, this seems very out of character from the Dave we know from the beginning of Psycho. It's a huge flip of his personality, from seeming introverted, growing up, playing piano, going to school and repeating, to in Funky Friday where he talks about having beautiful women and lots of money. He appears very extroverted and confident. Dave addresses these contradictions in his song Jekyll and Hyde from 2016, also produced by 169.
You can be my Santander. This is Jekyll and Hyde. Have you ever had a war of your mind? It's like I'm two men. This is a tale of two men. This is Jekyll and Hyde. Have you ever had a war of your mind? It's like I'm two men.
169, you feel me?
Have you ever had a war in your mind? It's like I'm two men. These are feelings of Dave that are at the heart of Psychodrama, constantly jumping between emotional hits such as Leslie or Black to more bubbly tracks such as Location. Now let's go back to the bar in Psycho we just heard.
Who am I? Someone trying to live his best life. I just want to take a pretty woman for a test drive.
Here's another important question from the song. Who am I? Dave answers this question by saying, someone trying to live his best life. This may answer some of the questions that arose from the beginning of the episode today. For example, why is Dave in therapy if he doesn't want to change? This part could be showing that although Dave doesn't want to lose the fire in his belly, he also is trying to live his best life, and knows he can't do this while feeling the anguish from his childhood.
I love this game, I ain't lost focus, I'm a hit maker. If you haven't noticed, I could be the rapper with a message like you're hoping, but what's the point in me being the best if no one knows it? Brother, I'm a careful, humble, reckless, arrogant, extravagant nigga, probably battling with manic depression. Man, I think I'm going mad again. It's like I'm happy for a second, then I'm sad again.
Dave again shows us both of his personalities here, saying, I'm a hit maker if you hadn't noticed, shortly followed by, I'm a careful, humble, reckless, arrogant, extravagant, probably battling with manic depression. Manic depression is another term for being bipolar, or having multiple personalities, which is what Dave has shown us throughout the last few bars. Even in the bar we just heard, each adjective contradicts the next. For example, Dave says he is both careful and reckless, and humble and arrogant.
It's like I'm happy for a second, then I'm sad again. And to my fans, the reason I could get to this, you're my drug, the instrumental, my therapist. Man, I need some therapy.
And to my fans, the reason I can get to this, you're my drug, my instrumental, my therapist. When Dave says, my fans, the reason I can get to this, statistically black men are much less likely to receive treatment for mental health problems, even though they're 10 times more likely to suffer from psychosis than white men. In this bar, Dave could be thanking us for giving him the fame and money he needs to receive the help. He goes on to say, you're my drug. This could be referring to the way Dave feels after a song releases, and the way the fans react, giving him a dopamine rush. Dopamine is the chemical in your brain that makes you feel pleasure. Or it could be that us hearing his feelings and struggles is helping him mentally too, as sharing your problems with others can often help how you feel. This letter is backed up by the next line, saying, instrumental my therapist, showing that he feels good rapping over a beat, and it too helps him with his problems. Besides, without the instrumental, Dave can't share what he's thinking.
My girl's saying that she'll never leave. I'm scared she's gonna find a better me. Deep insecurities, like, what if I don't leave a legacy? Money, why they check for me? Mummy lost respect for me. I wish that we could be together, but that ain't how life works. I used to cry about my dad until my fucking eyes burnt, nose running.
This is where the album feels like an autobiography again. I used to cry about my dad until my fucking eyes burnt. Before Dave was even a year old, his father was deported to Nigeria for visa issues. This vulnerability that Dave is showing us encourages us to enter a state of vulnerability, asking us how we might feel in the same situation. Another detail from his childhood was that his brother Christopher and his friends were sentenced to life in prison for a minimum of 18 years for murder. When Dave says, I wish we could be together, Dave isn't only referring to his dad, but his brother also.
You don't know nothing. Before I put a penny on the table, I provided for my family. Held my mother's hand through the agony. Hey, you ever fall asleep cause you don't want to be awake? In a way, you're tired of the reality you face if you're thinking about doing it. Suicide doesn't stop the pain, you're only moving it. Lives that you're ruining. Thoughts of a world without you in it. Hiding. I ain't psycho, but my life is.
In this closing bar, Dave goes even further into mental health than he has in the whole rest of the song, going on about a very real problem, suicide. Suicide is one of the main causes of death in the UK. Dave's own mother even contemplated it. He says suicide doesn't stop the pain, you're only moving it, lives that you're ruining. This makes a big point about the tragedy that is to cut a life short, and how many people can be affected besides the victim. It also comments on the very first line we heard from Dave in the album, how do you stop all the pain? Dave is giving a late response, saying that no matter how bad the pain is, suicide is never the answer. Suicide doesn't stop the pain, it just makes it worse for people around you. Listen again to that final sentence.
I ain't psycho, but my life is.
Notice how Dave's vocals are multi-tracked or layered? We hear multiple of him. This could be again addressing his multiple personalities. And the bar itself, I ain't psycho, but my life is. This is Dave saying that he is mentally stable, but his life is far from it. Okay guys, that concludes the analysis of Psycho. Thank you very much for reaching the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, it would mean a lot to me if you could leave a like or let me know in the comments, as this is incredibly different content from what I usually make, and it did take a very long time. I'm also planning on making similar videos for the rest of Psychodrama if you guys are interested in that, and possibly even his newer album. We're all learning this together. So let me know what you think, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.